You are now listening to the Do Well Collective podcast, where our mission is to provide authentic conversations and community for the Christian millennial. My name is Craig Bass, and I'm your host. Welcome to the podcast. 2020 has been a wild year, to say the least, and so much has gone down. We've never seen anything quite like this, and it can be hard to process it all. So, for this reason, the collective decided to record an exclusive series called Uncut Reflections on 2020. In these conversations, we're going to get real, raw, and honest on the American political climate, what it feels like to get fired during a global pandemic, and how we took a business risk at Do Well and failed. So it's going to be some great conversations, and you don't want to miss this. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Do Well Collective podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Craig Bass.
And I'm Jalen.
And we're so excited to have you. If you noticed that I added another word that you may have not heard in our first season, the collective, that's because we are a collective, and we're going to be sharing some exciting news about that coming up. But first, thank you. Right, Jalen? Just thank you.
Man, thank you all so much for all the support for season one. Season one was a roaring success. And over 1,200 plays we received, man. People sending so much encouragement, so much love. People saying, man, that related to me. Man, you were talking to me. I felt challenged. I felt like you were talking about me. And then I felt encouraged to go run a marathon. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, bro.
We appreciate y'all, man.
Yes.
We started this thing just wanting to help, man. Just wanting to help people, encourage people, especially in such a dire season. And we just couldn't have imagined that it even would have gone this far. But man, we just love y'all. Thank you for your support, for every way you've supported us. And we look forward to doing more life with you.
Yes, more life with you guys. And I'm sure the big question for many of the people who followed us through the season one all the way up to July, and then it was kind of like radio silence. Like, what in the world happened?
Where did they go?
Where did they go? And we're going to talk about that. And so quite simply, the answer is we were trying to do too much.
Doing too much, cuz.
We were doing way too much, man. Way too much. So we had an idea on how we could evolve the podcast, continue to grow it, to make it into a business, to make it into something that we can grow and help more people, that had a bit more formality to it, because we did start our podcast, in a sort of shotgun way. We just sat down and started to record. So we wanted to do more planning, to make it more sophisticated, to build it, and that is good.
Yeah.
But when we started doing that, we kind of got lost in the sauce.
Right.
Yeah, we kind of got lost and got mixed up into it. So we're going to dive into that today, like what happened and where we're going from there.
Yes, for sure. Do Well episode, season 2, episode 1, Do Well does too much. Do too much, bro.
Do Well just does too much.
But haven't we all been there, right? So,
but seriously,
we really, like Craig was saying, we wanted to look how we could expand the brand, how we could build things out. Like you said, which is good, and not just in theory. It's still good.
Yes.
About your approach. It's about your thought process, your motivations, and also knowing when you have to know what you're capable of doing, what's realistic, what's dreamable, affable, what's good. All those things, man, it makes a difference. It really does. It makes a difference.
Yeah, it does. It does. And we hired a marketing company.
We went.
We went there. We hired a marketing brand company, and we dropped ducats, and we had a professional consultant. We went there. We really went there, right? With our idea. We went all the way there. And like I mentioned earlier, it was a good thing. I'm glad that we did it.
Yes.
But we got lost in the sauce. And what I mean specifically about that is, for us, how we got lost in the sauce is we sort of put the carriage before the horse.
Yes.
Like we tried to build a house without laying the proper foundation.
Yes. Yeah.
And quickly, when you do that, when you put the cart before the horse, when you build a house, on a shaky foundation, you start to see that you're being counterproductive. And as we were working with the marketing professionals, as we were working with consultants, as Jalen and I were trying to materialize our vision and our idea to expand and grow Do Well, we noticed that we didn't have what it took to make it happen. So specifically, we wanted to build a platform for Christian entrepreneurs, for kingdom entrepreneurs, create a podcast and a community for them, and for people like us who are on the journey from idea formulation all the way to building and sustaining a business, for the Lord, for the kingdom. But we were doing too much.
we were doing too much. And what it was we had so many things. And this is something that happens when you start building without the foundation solid.
Yeah.
The thing about it is you can start focusing on too many things at one time. And trying to key in, and it quickly becomes a mess, because we were trying to we're gonna give y'all a little rundown where we're at, y'all. Listen, we were trying to brand for Christian marketers, Christian people, right, who were trying to live for the Lord, and then it was gonna be business as well. But then we had even a space in there that it was gonna be catered toward Black Christian entrepreneurs. So you got 3 huge people groups, bro, huge, that there's some intersectionality, but it's still very broad. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And to try to do all those at once, starting off, is so difficult. We basically were trying to be the Avengers, we were the podcast Avengers, you know what I'm saying? We trying to suit up, dog. We trying to solve world hunger, bro. We trying to get people saved. We trying to, lead a march, you know what I'm saying? Do the podcast halfway through, you know what I mean? We trying to get it all done. It was like, nah, dog.
It was just like, no, you really couldn't do that much. But our last episode for season 1 was called Just Do It.
Just Do It, yeah.
And it's one of my favorite episodes of season 1 because it talks about, we were having a discussion on, if you have an idea, if you have a dream, it's best to just do it. Just get out there and start it. And I still believe that. And we practice what we preach. We had an idea and we went after it, and we failed. And we just have to be honest about it. It's like we failed on our idea, but we wouldn't have known what we know now. We wouldn't have failed and got the experience from it.
Yeah.
And now we have a much clearer vision about what we want to do.
Yes.
But if we didn't go after it and try it, we wouldn't have known.
Never would have known.
Never would have known.
That's so good. That perspective is so real, because, and you know what would have been more troubling to me now, looking at it now in hindsight, right? Let's say that we didn't practice what we preach on that part. And
yes.
We kept on recording, doing different stuff. And then say we waited another year and said, hey, you know what? Let's do this idea. But it wasn't going to work from the jump and now we done got so far out. I would rather start now, fail early, fail fast.
Fail early.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, listen, bro. Listen, you gonna ride the bike, ride it with training wheels, bro. Fall off it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Go and get scraped up now. So that way when you get up, you know what I'm saying, you really gonna be ready already. And you know what not to do.
Exactly.
Because now we know partially, like, okay, we know how to lock in and say, okay, hey, this is a little too much. This is something more realistic. This is something we can build toward. But like I said, if we didn't do it, if we didn't go push, go fail, we wouldn't know how to succeed. So part of learning to succeed is learning how you have to fail successfully. Fail successfully.
Exactly. Like taking calculated risk.
Yes.
Because, there is a wisdom to it. You can't, you can't just expect yourself to play at, and I'm just going to use this analogy because it's the easiest right now, but you can't expect to jump out on the court with a legend like LeBron James and the rest of them boys. And, you're playing at a high school level, but you're trying to jump out there and run with the NBA.
Oh,
like that you're going to get killed. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get killed. So you have to make calculated risks, and that's just, a comparison to make. But whatever it is that someone, a goal or something they want to go do, you have to make sure that it's a smart leap. You got to take a leap, but you got to make sure it's a smart leap. But at the same time, there's no guarantee that you're going to succeed at it.
Yeah.
And I remember, early on in my adult life, like reading books about personal development, reading books about professional development and being an entrepreneur. And you'll come across this philosophy about failure and about, the most successful people are the people who failed the most, are the people who failed multiple times. And they learned from their failures and they kept going.
Yes.
And so, in theory, it's like, okay, I understand that. I could dig it. Right. But when you're in it, oh boy.
Oh, sure.
It is not easy. It is not easy at all. But I think the process is worthwhile. Like, if I had to do it again, I would, because what we learned from it, what we learned about us, like what you learn about yourself through failure is something that you can't trade that for the world. You can't trade that for anything, because it really, I just like to say, it really clarifies what your true motivations are. And it clarifies what exactly you're trying to do. And that's what failure did for us.
Yes, it really did. You hit on something so key where you said it helps you identify your true motivations. Your true motivations. A lot of times your motivations can be guarded. They can be covered up.
Yeah.
Especially when there's no adversity.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? Like there's no adversity. You know what I mean? It's like people who, when they make these like fireproof things and stuff, like you don't know it's fireproof until you put it in fire. You know what I mean? There's no way to test that. So when you go into a process and you say, hey, this is what my thought process is. This is what my vision is. Okay, cool. Let's test this. And when we test it, you're going to see how it stands up. You know what I mean? And the thing is, sometimes some stuff works, some stuff don't.
Some stuff won't. Yep.
Works, you know what I mean? Take what works and then just let go what didn't work. All right, that didn't work. And what I loved about this whole process for us as it was grueling. It
was grueling, yeah.
Grueling. It was grueling. But putting the light on it, it really made you examine what we were thinking through, why we were doing this. And you started to examine like, dang, why am I doing
why? Oh, that's so good. That's so good, Jalen. Why? When you just stop and ask yourself why you are doing something, you will be surprised by your answer if you really just stop and ask why. And oftentimes it does. You said a awesome word earlier, adversity. Adversity will force you to ask the question, why? Why? Like when we go through challenging situations, you know, one of the first questions that people ask, you know, if they are someone who believes in God, why God? Why?
That's it. That's exactly it.
That's it. It's like, man, why? That's the immediate question.
That's the immediate question.
Like, that's like our natural human tendency. That's like a natural question we have is, why? And then we even see that in children when when they want to know something or something is not clear to them. Why? Why is that? Why? And that's exactly what happened with us is, okay, like, why are we doing this? Like, I know we just had the idea and we started the podcast back in March of 2020. And our motivations were pure, and they still are now.
Right.
But what is our why and why are we here and who are we here for? And that's what failure will do to you. It will make you ask the question, why? And it will send you on a journey to seek out the answer. And I think the goal of a failing situation, the goal of failure, that's the nugget that you come out of. It's like, okay, at the end of this tunnel, this dark tunnel, when I reach the light, I know my why. Like, I know my motivations. I know why. There's clarity there. There's clearness. You know, I know more about myself. I know more about what it is I'm here to do. And so, that's why it's so important. And another thing that helped us is the Holy Spirit.
Oh my goodness. Ooh, he was. Y'all ever realize how weak you are? Listen,
bruh.
You ever realize how weak you are? Like, not being funny. You ever overestimated yourself and then you realize how quickly, like, I'll never forget, like, trying to pick stuff up and you're like, oh, that looks light. Oh, bro, that's straight, bro. That ain't no problem. Like, I got that, bro. Like, I used to have this big bulky TV in my room in college. I had an old TV from the house or whatever, and that bulky had that big fat back.
That big fat on the back, man. It's like, what's behind that thing?
You're right. What's in there, bro? Like, they don't make them like that no more. You know what I'm saying? It's that big back, big body.
Big body.
Big body. But like the TV itself, like that junk had that big back, and like I remember one time I was like, okay, I'm finna get ready to move out of my apartment, and I'm like, oh, bro, I'm gonna pick that joint. Hold on.
What?
Hold on. Wait.
Yes.
Wait. What's happening right now? And you realize how weak you are, and it just teach you, you know what I'm saying, like, to not go in a situation overestimating your abilities. And I believe the Holy Spirit was like, the whole time I feel like Holy Spirit was just like in our way, like, listen, bro, stop. Resistance. Too much. Resistance is good to a degree, but when you have a level of resistance where it's like unmovable, you need to listen.
You need to stop and think for a minute. Yes, and that's what was happening with us. We kept hitting these walls. Oh, you know, we were trying to build our business plan. We were trying to do these things, and it was just like resistance. And once we stopped and just like, okay, is this resistance like the natural resistance that anyone faces on the path of progress, on a path to achieving something? Because resistance is a part of it. I remember reading this book called The Dip by Seth Godin. He's this big marketing guru that's been around for a long time. He's written a catalog of books. I mean, he's on marketing. So he's kind of like known as the marketing and branding guru, one of them in the industry. And he wrote this book called The Dip, and it's a really quick read. I actually got on audiobooks. It's about an hour and 45 minutes to listen to. But the premise of the book is that every personal or professional or even spiritual goal that we have, that we want to achieve, is going to have resistance at some point. And that's what he calls the dip. So you're going to hit a dip. And when you hit that dip, you're going to have to find a way to overcome. So you're going to have to like climb out of that dip some kind of way in order to get on a, you know, on a level path again. And that is like the situation that everyone is going to face. When you go after something worthwhile, you're going to hit this resistance. And when you hit that resistance, you have to decide in that moment, do I want to persevere? Can I persevere? And if the answer is no to one of those questions, then you got to kind of like, you know, dust it off, you know, just say, hey, I got to move on from this. So if it's like, you know, can I persevere? If it's a yes, then it's like, okay, I can persevere. Do I want to? That's another big question. Do I want to persevere? And so that's what we hit. It was like, all right, we hit this resistance. And the question we had was, can we overcome this? And we just felt like in that moment, it was like, okay, like we need to talk to Holy Spirit about this, because we've just been hitting this wall. And once we did, it was like the Holy Spirit was like, finally, God stopped.
I tell y'all didn't know it.
Yes, bro. Yes.
Y'all doing too much.
Y'all doing too much. and that is why we said doing too much. Because the Holy Spirit told us that we were doing too much.
Doing too much, man. I'm telling you. And that's, you know, it's good when you've been struggling like that, and then you have a conversation and you come to the realization, and the first thing you do is start laughing. Immediately it's like, oh, I was tripping. You right?
It's just like, I was tripping. That's tripping. On me.
That's on me.
That's on me. That's on me. Yes, bro. And we Jalen and I, we hit that point where it was like, okay, Holy Spirit. We was on the phone together. Having this conversation with God. It was like, okay, God, what's going on?
What's happening?
What's happening?
What's happening right now?
And we both heard from God. It was like, y'all are doing too much.
Doing too much.
I never asked you to build a platform for entrepreneurs.
Never.
I didn't ask you to do that.
Y'all, exactly. Like y'all try to go out here and save the world. I did that already. What you doing, dog?
What you doing? Like, I wanted you to stay in your field of favor. I wanted you to stay.
Break that down.
Right. Okay. So everyone has a field of favor, something that naturally comes to them easy, that when they operate in it, there's grace. You know, there's favor in it. So some people, their field of favor is, okay, let's break it down to just, you know, in church settings. Some people has a field of favor of pastoralship. Like that is a natural gift that just it's not an easy job, but it just comes easily for them. And when they operate in it, there's grace, there's favor, and it just feels like there's this easy dance with it. If that pastor, if that pastoral leader tries to transition into the business world, he may be even though he may have the right intentions, the right motivations, and he may even have the skills, but it doesn't mean that he's going to still operate, or she is going to still operate in their field of favor.
Right.
And it's vice versa. Someone could be very talented business person, but if they get up there and try to preach a sermon, it can fall flat. Because that's not their field of favor.
That's good. And man, I love that, man. That field of favor, man. You said that and that hit me so hard, because I believe, and I know for sure that when we started this thing, and we thank y'all for rocking with us, that's part of the reason why it flowed the way it did, because we were operating in our field of favor. And we've just come to the realization that that's where we need to stay.
Yeah.
That's where we've come to. That doesn't mean that we won't, continue to try to grow and to expand what we're doing right now, and to sharper and to perfect it and make it more excellent. But we want to do it in our field of favor and do it to the glory of God, and do it so that it will continue to be of service.
Yes.
Yes.
It continue to be of service. And so where are we going now? Season 2 is going to launch 2020. We're building a website. So be 2020. Oh my gosh, what am I doing?
I know.
I do not want to relive 2020.
The year went by. I know. I thought the same thing, and I thought about like, it's almost over.
It's almost 20, and I do not want to relive 2020.
No, we do. No,
we do not want to relive.
No.
But yeah, so 2021, we are dropping season 2.
Yes, sir.
We are building a website. We're going to have a launch party for that. Yes. But essentially, we're going to operate in our field of favor. We're going to have impactful, authentic conversations on faith, work, and culture for the young millennial. And that's it. That's what we're going to do.
That's it, dude.
We're going to have impactful and authentic conversations on faith, work, and culture for the young millennial.
That's it.
Hey, mic drop.
Mic drop.
And that's what failure would do for you, baby.
That's what it would do.
Failure would give you a sentence mission statement. Boom.
Exactly. Cut all the fluff out, dog. We going for it. Well, man, we want to thank y'all once again, man.
Yeah.
With us back season 2. All right, I'm going back.
I know, man.
2. We thank y'all once again for rocking with us, for kicking it off with us, man. More great episodes, more great content to come. Also, send us suggestions, stuff y'all want to speak on, y'all got ideas, thoughts about. Send that to us as well.
Yeah.
To talk with y'all. Craig, you got anything else you want to share with them before we close out?
No, that's it. Just stay on the lookout for season 2 that's coming January 2021.
Yes,
but
sir.
This is the first installment of more episodes that we're going to call Uncut Reflections on 2020. Uncut Reflections on 2020. So this is the first installment. Y'all stay on the lookout for more episodes to come. Yes. And we're just going to be real about what this year has been like. So stay tuned. We're excited to keep rocking with you guys. And we apologize for being away for so long. Yes, the bottom of our hearts. But know that we're back. We're here to stay. And we're ready to keep this thing moving. Peace out, y'all.